you're at Selby Town now. How are things going over there?
Good at the moment. Yeah, we've done well the last 5 games. So I think we've won 4, drawn. We drew 1 on against Brig on Saturday, which was a tough game. They're doing really well. Got loads of goals in them, but yeah, we're doing well. I'm really enjoying the coaching side of it under the gaffer and Nige over there. So yeah, really good club. Wanting to do things in the right way, and a good, honest group of lads as well. Young, but an honest group of lads who want to do really well for the club. So yeah, enjoying it.
Amazing. Good to see you again, Pricey. Long time no speak, mate.
How are we doing, Lou? All right.
All good, mate. All good. We're going to run through a little bit of your career. Obviously, some stories that you might want to share, that you might want to let out the bag or keep in the locker room. I'm pretty sure there might be a few that you might not want to.
Yeah, well,
obviously,
we'll see.
Kicking off, first of all, obviously we know your previous clubs in the Football League and non-league, but it obviously kicked off at Ellen Road, didn't it, as apprentice? Just tell us a little bit how you kind of got into football and how you got into Leeds United and where that took you.
So to start with, my dad took me up to Park, local Park, as lots of people do, and I played for just my local team in Normanton. 3 or 4 years above myself, really, because they didn't really have any the youngest team that there were. So then through schools, went to Wakefield and played for Wakefield District and stuff like that, which I got picked up at Leeds. Went to a bit of a training academy thing, and they took me on. So from 10-year-old, 11-year-old, I was at Leeds and playing for my county team, which was my Wakefield. So went on from there up to probably 17-year-old. I broke my leg in when I was 16, and it just curtailed from there really with Leeds, and then I got released from there. I'm at 17-year-old after spending a couple of months on their YTS scheme, but nothing but good things to say about the club and the coaches and everything. Everybody that I've met there, they treated me really well until the last couple of probably last month or something like that, and then but football moves on, doesn't it? And different things open then. In
terms of your kind of grounding there at Leeds, is there any players that people may know of and recognise that you played with and had good times with, or you've kept in touch with in the future?
Well, I was really good friends with Adam Lockwood and Nick Montgomery, who've gone on and done really big things in the game at Sheffield United, but also Alan Smith. He was a year above me with Gaz, Gaz's best mate over there, and so I was really close with Alan Smith for that 5 or 6 years. Obviously, Al was above and beyond anything that Leeds had seen, I think, for that time. He was down at Lilleshall for a small amount of time until he came back home because he was homesick and stuff like that. But yeah, they're the main ones. Obviously, Johnny Woodgate was up there as well. He was a couple of years older than us, but he was people that you looked up at in the youth team and stuff like Tony Ackworth and people like that. Kevin Dixon, who went on to have a good non-league career as well. So Warren Feeney, who's now he was managing in the lower league. So yeah, there were some really good players, but it was that time where they were getting into. Leeds were a top team. They were in the Champions League, and it was just going above and beyond everything that we'd expected, really. Which a lot of people got left behind with the size at which the club were going. So, but yeah, lots of good people there, and lifelong friends that you've met really. And you don't see them, you don't speak to them that often, but when you catch them every year, every couple of years, it's nice to be able to say, how are you doing? And we met and you just go back on a couple of things that happened when you used to play and that. But I keep in touch with Adam Lockwood and stuff like that over at Leeds, and then he went to Doncaster afterwards. And yeah, a lot of good people. That's a good thing that football brought to me, really. Those contacts and that, the people that you meet through football. So yeah,
amazing, seamless link. Then moving on, you mentioned Doncaster. That was your next club. Obviously, you're quite synonymous a little bit with that in terms of that promotion winning season as well. Again, leaving Leeds obviously was probably difficult for yourself, but you found yourself a new club and found almost maybe a new home, would you say?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, having left Leeds, I was distraught having left Leeds. My grandma and granddad were distraught as well. They were really down because they took me everywhere. And one of the coaches who I'd had at Leeds, Mickey Walker, rang me up within 2 weeks and he says, "Look, Pricey, we're getting something going at Doncaster. We're going to start up a new youth team. I want you to come. I want you to be my captain." I went there, and it's the best thing that could have ever happened to me. And I would have loved it to stay at Leeds, but that was the best thing that could have happened to me football wise, to go into that situation at Doncaster. Yes, they were in conference, but what a grounding and what a club. And I owe like a lot of stuff to what I'm doing now, or things that I know now from Doncaster and that experience at Donny. And like say Mickey Walker taking me in there, I owe a lot to him as well.
I'm guessing as well, Pricey, mate, that's one piece of advice you can give to, footballers coming through the system, and, obviously the lads at Selby now as well. And it's sometimes it might not always work out, but you've got to go and grab them opportunities to go play football, because it's a short career, isn't it? It
is, most definitely. Just go and get as many games as you possibly can. Honestly, if a lot of it's about the money. If you're going to make money, you'll make money. Good players don't go missing now, but just go out and play football. It hurts me that people can let these top teams will sit there and not play a game for 4 years, but they're multimillionaires and they've not kicked a ball. It's really frustrating, and well done to them. I would never take anything away from anyone doing that, but you do it to play football.
Yeah.
And the stories that you can tell, and if you win games, losing games, it's those experiences that you've got to go through. And if you don't do that, then you've not really gained anything from being a footballer, really. Money's nothing if you've not got any memories, you know what I mean? So it's catch-22. But yeah, I would always say to young lads, go and get games, no matter where you're playing, just go and get some games.
I'm guessing the reward for yourself going to Donny and playing football was in promotions, wasn't it, as well? That must be one of the highlights of your career.
Yeah. Sharing it with a group of lads that we had, because they put together a really good group of lads. So the year that we went up from the conference, Franny Turney obviously scored the winning goal in the playoffs. So Sir Francis Turney had scored that winning goal, got us up into the league. And I'd not played many games that season. It was the following season when we were in Division 3, when we went and won it straight away. And it was just that momentum. And I went out on loan, but I come back in. I think I'd started 24 games in that season. But it just passes you by, and you don't really take notice of it until you're looking back now and you think, bloody hell, you play them games. It's a big thing what we did, and it was, you don't realise when you're doing it though, if you know what I mean. So Doncaster, those 2 years, those 3 years that from being at the bottom of the conference, getting promoted from the conference, and then winning Division 3 against some good teams in Hull and Huddersfield and Mansfield, because there were some good players in them teams. Like, you've got your Stuart Elliott, who used to be at Hull, Lawrence, who used to be at Mansfield. There were some very good football teams, and for us to be able to do that in little old Doncaster, then it was but it's all down to the group of lads and the management and what they put together, really.
Looking at that Donny team as well, it was a very competitive Division 3 back then, Jamie. And actually, a fact is that you were the promotion that you had. It was the last time it was called Division 3 before it went to League 2. So kind of a little bit of history in that one, but it was a really competitive division back then. Like in terms of the teams that you've named.
Yeah, it was. And the funny thing is, we never played in League 2 because we went straight into League 1 because we won the league, you see. So we surpassed that. So we got another promotion, which was weird, really.
You skipped a division, Jamie.
Yeah, looking at, we skipped a division. We did, and it's really weird to say that I played in League 1, but I never played in League 2, but played in Division 3. But people don't realise now when you're talking to young lads, they don't, Division 3, what's Division 3? What are you on about? That must be a really poor standard if you're Division 3. So
Did you not know that football didn't exist past 1992?
Well, apparently FIFA 98. That's when football started.
Is that when you put yourself on game? Yeah,
that's when I could pick this then.
Yeah. Do you know what? Can you remember what your ratings were back then, Jamie?
Below 10 on everything.
You were going to say something else then. You were going to say something else.
I was going to say, I can't swear on here, can we?
You say what you want, mate. You say what you want.
So obviously after Donny, mate, obviously you had a couple of spells at York and Harrogate as well. Harrogate actually you probably played most games, didn't you, as well? But again, people of a certain generation may forget Harrogate were non-league like yourself.
Yeah, I went to York for a couple of years under Billy McEwen, which was another brilliant thing with people but it was putting a young team together then. So the team had more or less disbanded. because it was starting back up again, really. He put a really good young team together of local lads. And like, so you got like your TKs, like, so you Dave McGurks and your James Dudgeons and your Converys. But we had obviously Neil Bishop who could score goals, Clayton Donaldson who could score goals. So that was a really good season for us, finishing mid-table in the conference, because that was a tough league as well with your Stevenages and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But moving on to that, I then moved to Harrogate Town, and another, again, under Neil Aspin. It's just another legend in football that people like the miss. Do you know? It's one of those. Is a local. He played for Leeds, obviously Port Vale, all those time, and it was a man's league. Like for me, dropping down to that as well was a real tough league. But I had people like Denny Ingram, who were like one of the best players probably I've ever played with. Mark Hume, one of my good friends in football. We had a real Danny Holland. We had a really good group of lads like Lee Philpott, Dave Merris, names that people probably don't like yourselves. You'll notice, but other people they'll just forget about them. But they're such good footballers, and your Darren Dunnings and stuff like that. Brilliant footballers and brilliant people, really. And fair dues to Asp again. He put a good group of lads together on very little, but you just wanted to play for him, and that's something that obviously it's hard to get. That I suppose it's really hard to put that group of people together. 15, 16 people who are all wanting to pull in the same direction. There's no egos or anything like that, and it's I've really had a good like grounding in my football just due to these managers putting good groups of people together.
I want to say, how important is that? I know we're speaking a little bit just beforehand, just to get to know folk each other, but how important is it to have them group of players around you and the managers on your side as well, that just collectively you come together for the good of the club, really, and each other?
Well, we were saying a little bit just before we came on with Gaz and Steve, weren't we, saying that what's it like? There's people saying that it's worth another 10, 12 points having a good change room, and I'm like the other way around. I'm thinking, no, it's good for 50 points. Your special players are good for 10, 12 points. So they're the ones that are going to get you over the edge, but you've got that 11, 15 maybe players for that full season who have got to get you them 50 points to start with, or maybe them 60 points to get you where you actually need to be before your special players kick in. So I think it's a bit of a role reverse, really, where having a good group gets you your majority of your points. It's the special players that we've been able to have, your Danny Hollands and stuff in every team that you look at. We're going to get you those extra points where you're struggling 0-0, maybe 1-0, and you nick a point or you nick 3 points, which you shouldn't really deserve. But I find that the group of players is the ones that fetch the most to the table rather than your individuals. So yeah.
Look at you speaking like a manager. I love it. I mean, obviously, as your career goes on as well, Pricey, kind of towards the latter end of your career, but you still played for a lot of our local clubs that we focus on here on the show. So Farsley Celtic, Garforth, Ossett Town as it was then, Park Avenue. Yeah. And then you made the move to Scarborough, didn't you? But I mean, in between that, I remember at Avenue at one point, you were assisting Martin Drury, who was ironically now at Man United Academy, but you were kind of coaching and starting to develop that as where you are now. What was that like, trying to combine both playing and coaching and taking that next step in your career in football? It's
tough, Lou, because you've got to walk the walk, can't you? You can't have a go at someone for not doing it if you're not doing it yourself, really. And it was tricky, but me and Drew, because Drew's West Brom. Is it West Brom now in their first team?
Of course he is. Of course he is.
Yeah. So he's up there now in their first team setup, which is fantastic for him. But we put a really good group of players together, Lou, up there, and we were good 18 to 18, but we couldn't keep it out in his box, and we couldn't put the ball in the goal. But it gives you an insight of what managers have got to do. It's everything from kit to talking to chairman to talking to. You've got to do everything, and it's such a difficult job for anybody. But it was a fantastic experience for those 6-7 months that we were there, because we used to have to. I was cutting the because we sorted out at Altoffs, my local team that could train there in pre-season. So I was cutting the bloody lawn. I was going round on the cricket tractor, going round cutting the pitch and watering the pitch. So our lads, we didn't look idiots, but lads were fetching in like Potsy from chuffing FC United and that, thinking we don't want to embarrass ourselves. I'll cut this so it looks right well. But it was but those things that you get up to, and the lads loved it though. The lads really loved it. We put a good group of lads together, brilliant footballing team. But 18 to 18, we were fab. In our goal, we couldn't keep it out, and we couldn't score with players that we had in 18. So
apart from that, we're all right. Yeah,
we were brilliant, though, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, you're spot on. And I think this is one thing that people have who may not be familiar with non-league. You talked about that group, didn't you? That mentality of kind of coming together, but that shows of how important it is. I remember seeing you doing that, and players run up and down the hills and the grass that you've cut, but you've got to have that mentality, haven't you, to just get somewhere in the game.
Of course you do. And do you know what? It don't go unnoticed, if you get a good, it don't go unnoticed to know the work that you put in and the effort that you put in. The players that you're fetching, and if they see that, they're just willing to give you that little bit more, and they're with you. And yeah, we got some. It was nice to hear people like, when we did get shown the door at Park Ave, and rightfully so as well. We've got no qualms about what with results and stuff like that. The players really do respect what you did for them and enjoy it, and I really bit into what we'd tried to produce. And as a good footballing team, yes, results didn't go well, but we were never going to curtail away from our thoughts and beliefs of how Park Avenue should have played, because the seasons building up to that, Lou, the 2-3 years, we had some good footballers and some good teams, but we scored goals, and that's what we were missing really in that little bit of an era that we had as coaches and managers, I suppose.
Because you were out of the team, you could have chipped in then with a few of yourself.
Well, yeah, we could have done with signing Downsy, but it looks at what goal it has shown me in that, but
I just wonder.
Forward, did you?
Well, mate, if you ever get into management, I'm here for a low contract offer for sure. Packet of Watsits and some custard creams will do me just fine, and a couple of.
Well, you're on pens anyway. You're straight on pens, so it don't matter. So that's.
Oh yeah. No, that's good. I'm up for that. Don't have to run very far. I just wondered, in that time that you're talking about with Lou, like you've gone from Leeds to Donny to being in even at Donny, even in like the non-league sort of. You were at the highest level of non-league, so there's still a professional sort of attitude there. How hard was it mentally for you to then, when you did go down to the the sort of the lower end of the lower league, how difficult was that mentally for you to change? Because you will have encountered some lads that hadn't been in anywhere near a professional environment that you were in. Were you looking at some of these young lads, and particularly the young lads, and thinking that's just alien to you in some of the stuff that they were maybe doing?
As in the players that are coming, like when I was in my time and stuff like I mean,
so you've gone one way and they're coming the other way. Do you know what I mean? So they might be going out on a Friday night, getting in at like 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and then coming and playing. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that.
I mean, so my age group was the last YTS age group really. So then it went into the scholarship. So we had a really tough. So we was cleaning boots, we was painting stands up at Bellevue. We was doing all the groundsmen at half time, putting all the divots away. Whereas the year after, it went into the scholarship. So all of the jobs got took away. So then as we're working down, the kids who are coming up, they've not seen any of that. So we're getting them. They're like, I'm a professional footballer. And I said, well, you're not. You're at this level for a reason. You're gonna have to start to man up. So it was some people come and it's as though they've been up, they're owed something from football. Whereas we come down and thought, bloody hell, still at the ground at 10 o'clock, cleaning up, 10:30, cleaning boots, ready for morning for lads to come in. And if they're not done, you got a good. Sometimes you got a good hiding. It was clear. It was as simple as that, really. So we felt as though we'd earned that grounding or earned that chance of be able to play football. Where you do find some of them that come out of the academies and stuff like that, you think, actually, they feel as though they're owed something here, and they're going to have to be brought back down to earth. Which then us old school or older schools, they have to start pulling them in, but without actually offending, because it's a completely different environment now that we play, and it's getting that balance really, I suppose. I mean, we asked Selby. We've got some good lads, and you can talk to them. as though you're telling them and looking after them, really. But you've got to like give them a kick up the arse sometimes.
Yeah, well, we had Foz on last week from Thackley, and it was a really interesting chat because obviously he'd come from an era where he'd been under some of the old school style managers, and I suppose that is a massive difference now in football where you probably can't have that sort of attitude anymore. You've probably got to be a bit wary with what kind of how you're dealing with players and just kind of dealing with personalities rather than just getting on with it and like you said, being in a men's game environment, really.
Yeah, that it is like I say, from when I started to now, it's a completely different. Completely different environment. Yeah, you're right in what you say. I mean, all this this mental well-being and stuff like that. It was last when I was playing and when I was back in 10, 15 years ago. You just got on. It was just one of those you had to get on with it. You don't speak about it. And it was nothing, but it was always there. But I played under some managers who you got a good rollicking when you weren't doing your job right. But now you've got to. It's more arm round shoulder. Look, let's do it this way, and like really bullying them up to try and get what you want, but still wanting that aggressiveness and that aggression to come on, kick on. You're better than what you actually are. Come on, you've got more for us. It's trying to get that happy medium of willing someone to do something and then not offending them whilst you want them to do it. It's tricky, and yeah, I find it tricky.
Obviously, just to kind of come towards the end of the interview, cheers, Pricey, again. Thanks so much for giving your time up tonight. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, you had a really successful time at Emily, winning the County Cup and kind of going up the league as well. I mean, now, like you say, now at Selby. Like I say, the penultimate question is for Selby at the moment. What's this season looking like so far? Mid-table at 9th, you're doing well, pushing towards the playoffs. Is that aspiration is to grab them playoff spots and just keep on doing what you're doing?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, progression. I mean, last year we finished, I think, 14th, and we've kept majority of our team because we don't have that. We don't have that real pick of players. If that big pick of players, so you work with what you've got, and we've got a really good group at Selby. It's a good club. The manager and Nigel very good with the lads. They've got a good changing room together, and it's just a case of let's see where we're at. Let's have a go at everybody in our league, no matter what. Let's have a right good go at them. Let's finish higher than we did last year. Let's push for them playoffs because I think we're only 3 or 4 points off them playoffs as well. And as you know, non-league, you can beat anybody.
Yeah,
it's just that mentality. It's just turning up, wanting to work harder than the other team. And it's just as simple as that, really. The qualities in each squad and each team is pretty much the same across the board. It's just getting that consistency of people turning up and going just that extra mile, I suppose. And that's your changing room that you build and that environment that you build, if you can. And then hopefully that you're just hoping for those results to go for you. So yeah, we're looking to get in. I'm not going to lie, we're looking to get in promoting playoffs. That's our target. Why wouldn't we want to get there? Because we want to put ourselves up there, and next season again we want to progress again and just keep working on it. That's how it's always been. Whichever club I've been to, looking at that progression, and I think looking at every single team that I have actually played for, we have progressed every single season, and it's turned out really well for the clubs that have been part of that journey, which is good to see. And like your Emily's, your Garth are doing fantastically well. But it's just nice to have been on that part of the journey throughout these past 10 years, 15 years. So yeah.
No coincidence, mate. You were there with all of them. Yeah, no, you were absolutely there with all of them. So, and kind of one as well for me is what does it look like now for you in terms of football? Is it coaching? Is it possible aspirations to be a manager? What does that look like for you, mate?
Yeah, I want to be a manager. Yeah, I do. I love the coaching side of it. I love being on the pitch with the lads, trying to improve teams. It is one of those now where I'm thinking I need to put my own stamp on a team. I'm not in a rush, but I see people like Fozzers, your Denny's, you nip up at Wunwell and stuff like that. You've got Rob Ewell up at Harrogate Railway and stuff like that. I've played with these people, like Mark Bauer, played against Mark. He's doing fantastically well. And his management's growing like York Froggy and stuff. I want to be part of that niche now. I think I'm ready to step into a club, and hopefully a club will take a chance on me. Yes, I haven't got the background in management, but I've been coaching. I've been about the game for 25 years now, and I think I've got that contact, and that with me just coming out of football as well, I've still got that contact of playing with these young lads and stuff like that. So I feel like I could put a real good team together, and management's the next thing for me, but definitely keeping on that, because I just love the football. I love football. I love non-league football, and it's just a case of keeping going and progressing that way, I think, because my footballing days are finished now. Wouldn't know it needed.
Give over.
Sadly.
No, absolute pleasure to have you on, Jamie. You know where we are when you do get your managerial job. Obviously, Downs is on penalties. Brown can do media. Gaz can be assistant coach, and I'll do your recruitment. So you're sorted, mate. You don't need to go far.
And then we'll sort it out, guys. That's us. Thanks for having me on anyway, guys.
Jamie, really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you say something, Steve.
No, I was just going to say Gaz loves 3-5-2 system, so you'll be all right in terms of formation.
That's us then, yeah.
Way forward.
Definitely.